Hi guys, welcome back to the Yes You Pod.
The podcast where we put you back in community. I'm Emily.
I'm Evie, and today we are recording our 9th episode.
Woo!
Yay!
Yay!
I need to put like an applause track on these.
I know. And there is one. We just have to find it.
I know. Maybe we'll add it and then.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Emily, I am so happy to be here. It's been quite the week.
I know.
As if you don't know, I'm about to just go into a mini rant. Not rant.
Go ahead.
Just a quick little
Take it away.
teaser. Little something. So I just came back from the mission trip that we spoke of on the last episode. I got back on Tuesday on the 4th of July. It was the best trip of my life next to Israel. But it was honestly the best trip ever. Spiritually, emotionally, it broke me. I came back sobbing, just grateful that we are just fortunate to live in a place where we have everything. We still take it for granted. But it just taught me to be more grateful, more aware of like who's around me, how I can serve others. I literally FaceTimed Emily on while I was over there the day before we left. And we were just crying. We were just crying together.
Yeah.
Just because of all that God has done, and just I think I was in a rough place, in between a rock and a hard place, as they say. A little bit spiritually for a moment, and just in my life, and just with worries and in my head. But that trip really just did it all for me. If you have never, or if you have ever the opportunity to go on a missions trip, I 110% recommend going. Prayed up and ready to serve. Always have a moment of reflection each day to just remember what God has done. I was able to meet the sweetest kids ever, that were just so grateful that we were there as a church to serve them, give them clothes and shoes, and it just was something that I'll never forget. And so that was my weekend. That was my long weekend, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that because it forever will have an indent on my heart. But yeah, I just wanted to share that really quickly. Emily, how was your week? How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, so good. I am so glad my amiga's back from DR. I missed her, even though I haven't seen her yet, but I missed her. Girl, crazy week, crazy busy week. I have a notes list right now of the people that I have to call back that I haven't, and it's all my aunts that have called me this week, and I haven't called them back. I'm so busy, but it's good busy. And I'm so happy. I think at first my schedule was like, whoa, let's pack everything on and get stressed about it. But now I'm kind of getting into like a little bit of emotion, even though it's still like crazy.
Right.
But now I'm just kind of like settling in. I'm like, wow, I actually like love this. Like I'm really blessed in this season, and I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, I love that for you.
And yeah, I do remember that. That FaceTime really did it for me. Girl, I had a whole moment that night. I literally like crying. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, like mission trip, both of us. Yes, you pod on missions.
Oh my gosh.
Real quick.
I literally got off the FaceTime, and my friend, our friend, Francis, was like, yes, how was that FaceTime call with Emily? Because she turned around and I'm crying.
Oh my God.
What was the breakthrough? Like, what was the moment? The moment was Emily telling me how she was so proud of me, and I was just crumbling down. Like, it was just an emotions for both of us. Like, just talking about the experiences of the people, and I know it's been such a busy season for you, so just to have that moment where we both were like able to connect.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're far away, it feels like you're far away, like too far away. Even though I know it's coming back, I was like, oh my God, I miss her. I want to tell her everything. I wanted to I wanted to call my bestie and spill all of the tea.
I know. That's exactly what it felt like. But it was so good because I am so proud of you. And to see you like doing so much. Miss Girl did a whole spoken word in Espanol.
Amen.
In DR.
See.
and
Sí.
brought out her saxophone.
Pues tú sabes como la cosa que pasa que no, I'm just kidding.
You got it.
Es que yo, no, I'm just kidding. I'm sounding so American. Like, es que yo, no entiendo. No,
No
that was
sabo.
good. That was good because I was out of my comfort zone. It was like a stretch. One of the things that happened to me on the trip was that I haven't played sax in a while, and I get nervous. I get super nervy to play like a little solo, little moment, little improv. And one of the players was like, "Oh, don't be nervous. Like this is war. Like you have to remember, like this is for God." And I was like, "You're right." But we always get so much in our heads, which is such a like reflection when he said like this is war. It reminded me of everything that we've gone through in our lives. I'm like, wow, this is a moment. You know, this everything that we do, like we mentioned the last 2 podcast episodes, like worship is an offering. It's for God. Like we get in our heads. And it was that. Everything, even this podcast is an offering. So let's not get worried about the little things. But no, I'm grateful for you. I'm thankful for everyone that was there, and just that experience alone was so humbling. And I can't wait to go on our first trip together.
Slay, so good. Oh my gosh.
So good.
So many good things.
Yeah, and today we come with, a little spicy topic.
Yeah, girl.
A little just want to talk about the single ladies. Shout out to the single ladies. Put your hands up.
Not sponsored by Beyonce, by the way. Just to preface, it's not sponsored. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous.
But just single ladies, single. I'm holding your hand.
Okay, so
right now.
Holding hands.
Single ladies, single. I guess it could be single everyone, but single ladies in particular. Young adults, high schoolers, y'all little girls with boyfriends. This one's for you.
I know.
This one's for you. We won't talk about that.
Oh, girl. Get ready. Strap in. Put your seatbelts on. Y'all should have had your seatbelts on already because you're driving, but put your seatbelts on.
Right
now.
And just to start it off with a little whirlwind. And Miss Emily Nicole.
Oh, no.
How long have you been single? Are you single right now? Are you dating? Are you on the hunt? What's going on over there?
Girl, we starting off strong. Right now, she is no ring on the finger, no man in the phone. She's good. Yeah, it's like it's a good plane. Not that there's no one, but no one on me right now. You know, no one on my radar. Yeah. So yeah, girl, that's what's going on. How about you?
Oh, girl. No, I'm just kidding. I have no tea. I feel like everyone's going to be like, oh, what are they going to say? I'm going to say lots of nothing.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I have been single. I wasn't that girl in middle school that had a boyfriend. I wasn't that girl in high school that had a boyfriend. Just never me. Just never my, never my priority.
Right.
Because I just knew that it wasn't going to last, and I didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And first of all, no one was asking me to go out with them. Like, it wasn't a thing. Like, I'm gonna be humble. Like, but no one was asking me. I think I also seen like people get into
so vulnerable right now.
Like, in middle school, and they just break up the next day.
Yeah.
Like, why are you good in relationships to break up the next day? Like, everybody in school knows about y'all, and then you post little edits. Like, why do you have couple pages on Instagram? I'm so sorry. Couple pages on Instagram are bound to fail. Like, what happens when you break up? You gotta block everybody.
Oh my gosh.
And then don't post your relationship if you're gonna break up, because I'm invested and I want all the tea.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. But also, I've gotten to the point where I can predict breakups, girl, and I can predict who's gonna do it. It's bad. It's really bad. But it's not. But it happens. See, I'm right. I'm wrong until I'm right, and that's just.
I'm scared now.
No, girl, but it's like. I don't know, like, all of it, not that this is what we're going to talk about, but I have had, like, moments in the past where it's like, he's a little too much, or, like, she does a lot in this relationship. Where is he? And then, boom, they break up. And then
See?
boom, he gets a girl the next day, and I'm like, oh.
See, there was always something. There's always something. That's why it's scary out here. I'm not gonna say that I haven't been on the lookout, but I can
No,
say
yeah.
that AMAP, all men are bad. No, I'm just kidding.
Amen.
AMAB. No, I'm just kidding,
That's
guys. Just
wild.
literally just kidding. But am I? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess from me, it has been just that, a season of singleness for a long season, like 5 seasons for like 22 seasons. But it's great. I love it here. Like the Miley Cyrus song Flowers, me every day.
Yeah.
I can buy myself flowers.
I did this morning.
I always write my name in the sand every time I go to the beach.
I love you. I love you. Stop. Oh my gosh. So good.
No.
But with that, let us get into it. What is the biggest stigma you can break down about singleness?
I guess it would be that if you're single, people assume that you're just not happy.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, I hate that.
Be for real.
I've been in so many situations where people are like, in a family setting, you know that one tía que me preguntó, really?
Yeah.
Not trying to shut up, but trying to shut up. But that is such a true. That is like every Thanksgiving. Where's your bae? When are you gonna get a bae? Do I need a bae to be happy right now? I'm thriving. I'm in my books. I'm in the word. I don't need to be out here with a bae to be fulfilled. And that is the biggest thing. Like, it's not that I'm totally happy with my girls. Right. Or by myself.
100%. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I think it's just that people that think that you're not happy because you're alone, that just means that you're insecure or that you feel like you always need someone. Not for the case for everybody, but I have seen it be where people they always need someone. And that's kind of concerning. Like, you don't need everyone to do everything, or you don't need someone to do everything with. I think once you learn how you can function alone in situations where you may need to be by yourself before you can get someone and just share experiences with, then you're gonna be fine. Like, but it's always like a constant search or a constant think of, oh, you're not okay. Maybe you need someone, or she's not okay. She needs somebody to. No, I think that you can be perfectly happy by yourself. And one thing that my friend told me, which great advice, it was, people always say like your partner should complete you, but that's not the case. Like, you should already be whole, and then the person should be an add-on. I loved when she said that. So that would be like the biggest stigma that I think that people think that you aren't happy if you're single. What would it be? What do you think is the biggest stigma you can break down about singleness?
I think that if you're single, there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. I think one thing for me is like, my standards through the roof. And it's always been that way. Like, since I was young. Yeah. Like, I'm the princess of the family. I'm sorry. It just comes with it. Sorry. Unpopular opinion. And it just comes with it. And so I think the stigma of like, oh, if you're single, like, you're unattractive. And that whole thing is like, there's very much a difference between like being unattractive and being ugly, because there's 2 people in this room. There's ugly where. Let's just start there, first of all. Second of all, when you're like not attracted to somebody, it doesn't devalue how they look or how they're, who they are as a person. Because let me say this. Even if you're not attracted to somebody, you still need to respect that person. And that is very hard for some of y'all to hear. Sorry, I'm screaming. But let's be real. Because it's always like that. Like that, okay. Let's not talk about pretty privilege right now, but let's talk about pretty privilege right now.
Oh, go into it, mamas.
It's so crazy how we do live in a world where if you're not attracted to somebody, it means like, don't give them the time of day. And let's be real. Like, if I am a single woman, which I am, it does not mean that nobody like finds me attractive, or nobody like
Right.
I'm not like my beauty or my value like lowers. It's just
Exactly.
I'm waiting for someone who can see more than just their attraction to me, but who I am as a person. And that's the tea that some people don't want to sip on. But whatever.
And it's true. And you said it right on you hit it right on the nail when you said like your beauty, like all that stuff, and the respect factor. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is so annoying to see people tear women down because they
Right.
don't think they're not their type of beautiful.
Right.
Like
Oh my gosh. Yes. So true.
that's
Perfect. Right there.
concerning. Like as a
Exactly.
like if it was me, like if I had a boyfriend and he tore down another girl because she wasn't, I would, that red flag.
No.
Major
No.
red flag. Like, no. First of all, he's not gonna be like that. Second of all,
Yeah.
like
Amen.
that
Amen.
shouldn't
Amen.
treat that shouldn't determine how you treat a person because you wouldn't want someone to treat your, let's be honest, because there's like a big mama's boy thing. If someone thought that their
Oh my
mom wasn't
gosh.
beautiful and they disrespected her because of that, would you like it if someone did that to your sister, for example, or whoever it was? Like you wouldn't like that.
Exactly.
So why do we do it to other women just
Exactly.
because we don't know them? Come
Yes,
on.
this. Oh my gosh. And it's like so crazy because even the woman people are attracted to don't get respect. Which is like,
Right.
I told Evie before we started recording, we're going to hit the patriarchy today. And
Come on.
we need to have these hard conversations because guess what? Not everything is said out loud, but things need to be heard.
Come on.
So let's go. But that's, and it's like a whole thing with like that, like women not only striving to be the epitome of beauty, but the epitome of what attracts men. And it
Yeah.
sucks because we relate being attractive to being a person, to being of
Yeah.
value, which
Mm,
sucks because,
it does.
like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, we're going to get into it more later, but so many of my, like, younger friends, my daughters, I call them my daughters, they're my daughters,
We love
my
you.
children will be crying and shaking in their boots over really, like, we're talking scraping the bottom barrel, like
Come on.
running a 5K, really trying to find some reason why this guy is worth 2 cents, and
Never
thinking
worth
that,
it.
yeah, and thinking that their approval of them is what makes them a person or makes their beauty. And that is the saddest truth of society, is that we've convinced
Yeah.
our young and older women that their amount of beauty standards that they're reaching is the amount of respect that they deserve. And
Exactly.
that's a whole piece of pie right there. Like,
Yeah. And I've seen it. I've seen
yeah.
those same children. But like other kids and people my age too, like, oh, I'm worthless or I look like this. And I think at times
Yeah.
we get too fixated on the opinion, like you mentioned, of people that don't have any value or say in our lives. There are people that are there for like 5 minutes. Literally.
Right.
Like 5 minutes.
Right.
I've seen like, I have little nieces and cousins and people are mean. Like kids are mean. But their opinion or it doesn't make you, it doesn't define who you are. It
Right.
shouldn't determine like, you know, it just didn't determine why someone should like you or not. Like that stuff is
Exactly.
so annoying. And I don't want it to like, I wouldn't want someone to feel hurt because of one person's opinion, because then we have this fixated mentality of no one likes me when it's just one person that has a different attraction.
Right.
But again, that respect plays just an important part, like
Yeah.
you said. So that was just super, super good there. Um, what would you say has been your biggest struggle or insecurity personally with not having a partner right now? Or maybe like if you were, just to wait a little bit, or maybe in like a past season, what do you think that has been for you?
Um, Definitely that's a whole thing that can be unpacked because I it's not been like till recently that I've kind of realized that throughout a lot of moments in my life as I grew up, because obviously
Yeah.
there always comes a time in our childhood where we, there's one point where we didn't even realize how we look like, and all of a sudden, whoa, like I actually see myself in the
Right.
mirror and I see something
Mm-hmm.
different. Um, I definitely think my biggest struggle has been a lot of times I try to like cover up my insecurity with pride, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm too good for them. And in reality,
Oh,
it's like I think they're too good for me.
okay.
And that has definitely been a big struggle just because, like, whenever I see, like, a guy that I think, oh, like, he's cute, I a lot of times try to find something wrong with them. Or, like, something that is like, oh, like, I can
Yeah.
pick on. Like, oh, I'm better, at least on this. Um, and that has led me to pushing people away instead of getting people in my life because I've broken them down so much to the point where I think less of them. And it's so like
Wow.
to describe it, it sounds so like crazy, but
I
to
think
actually
you're,
like
yeah,
think
I get
about
it.
it in your brain, it's like for me, I have this really bad habit of either thinking really, really highly of someone or really, really low of someone. And
Okay.
it obviously is something that I'm constantly working on. And this doesn't apply to everybody.
Right, right.
If I know you and you're in my life, I think so highly of you. Let's just say that. Let's just put point blank
Mm-hmm.
period. Um, but it is definitely a defense mechanism that I use when, I do find someone that, hey, this could have been the most amazing journey of my life, and I could have probably found my soulmate, but I was so busy trying to like break them down in my head and nitpick them to the point where I don't feel threatened. And then I don't think about them at all. And it's
Wow.
so bad. And it's like, it's really like kind of crazy. It like sounds crazy to say out loud, but it's definitely been something that like, oh, like now I, it is, there is not a lot. Sometimes you are handed the bottom of the barrel, but sometimes there are people that God's thrown in your life because God wants you to have attractive people in your life. Like you
Come on.
think like, come on, God puts people together that think alike, that act alike, and sometimes that look alike. So if you got a hot person in your life,
Come
just
on.
know,
I
just
heard
know,
that's
just
so
know,
true.
because I always say this to my friends. I don't have ugly friends. I don't have ugly friends. So let's
Come
just put that
on.
there. If you're my friend, you're not ugly. There you go. But
I
it's also been like
love it when
that.
you
Like, no, and it's like, it's so true because it's like God does want you to be with someone that is attractive. Of course, He does. That you're attracted
yeah,
to, that is like nice looking.
of course.
Um, but it's also been like something that like is kind of like, oh, like if they're, I joke about it a lot, but sometimes it is true. Like, I cannot be the ugly one in the relationship. But it's also like, yeah, like it is like an insecurity to, be looking at people and think like, oh, like you're not good enough for them. That's always been my biggest fear. Like someone having that leverage over me of being like, I am insecure about them. And that's never really been my biggest struggle. And like not being with somebody has definitely made that grow worse.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we're working on it. We're definitely in this season. We're
No, I
accepting
love
love and
that.
we're getting
So
love.
you were so
There's a
real. I
percentage.
love that. I love that spiel. No, that's so good.
um,
I think
what
it's so
about
true, like what you
you?
said. It sometimes we try to one up the person before we even get to know
Yeah.
them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
or just be like, oh, because I know
Yeah.
for me, it's like, are you taller than me? Because I'm so tall.
Ah, got him.
Like, and
Got him.
if they're not, then automatically swipe
Yeah.
left.
No.
like,
Swipe left. I'm
like no, but it's so true what you said, and it's also like you said, it's a work in progress thing. I think it's also
right.
has to do with the insecurity things of ourselves, and then pinning that on other people that don't even know that we're doing it to them. It's kind of like
Right.
mentally, but you always want someone that is going to, of course, like you said, you're gonna have someone that God wants you to have somebody that you're attracted to that hits all those check marks that you have on the list, and even if not, that's okay, because those are things that are worked on over time and things like that.
Right.
but it was so good what you said. I think it was like a something like a self-reflection that you kind of have to we all have to work on.
Right.
Because it's so true. It's so
Oh
true.
my
Especially
god.
with social media and all that. Like,
Oh my god.
we can get into that more. But I know for me, it has been just, I guess, like a struggle with not having one is that I'll never have one. And I know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the waiting or like the
Yeah.
when is it my turn? Or
Yeah.
even though I'm not phased by the single season, it's
Right.
like I want to make sure that I'm good enough. And I know that I'm good enough
Yeah.
for myself, but I want to make sure that for I'm good enough for myself so I could be good for someone else as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my uh, struggle has been making sure that I'm okay so that when I
Yeah.
get into a relationship, I don't pin my burdens or I don't place them on the
Mm.
other person that is going to join my life.
So
Um,
good.
which I will always say is the reason that I'm single. So
Yeah.
I need
So
to be
true.
good. I need to
Yeah.
be good mentally. And no, we're not going to be perfect when we meet someone. Never the
Right.
case. We're going to have our traumas still and things that are carried along with us. But in no way, shape, or form do I want to make that a burden for someone else to carry if I haven't
Right.
fully processed that myself. Um,
Right.
so I think for me, it's just, waiting on the Lord, working on myself. I'm currently reading a book.
Slay.
Shout out, shout out. It's called let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. I'm looking at it from afar, but I can't see it. It's like prayers of a or the power of praying woman, wife, power of praying
Power.
wife. Shout
Mm.
out to Emily's mom who
Yeah.
recommended
I
that
was about
book
to say,
for
yeah.
like 2 years. I don't think I told Emily this, but not me having a whole dream about the book.
Oh, come on.
And I was like, okay, I haven't even heard about this book since December, like since last year. Haven't even thought about it, haven't even looked it up. I had a whole dream I was in a bookstore buying it.
Mm.
So this girl
Girl,
went on Amazon and she was like, "Taka taka ta, power praying wife," and I
I'm
bought it.
done.
Because I'm like, okay, Jesus, maybe you're preparing me, like
Right, of course. Of course.
trying to help me learn. And I remember my friend who she's also single right now. She's a little bit older than me, but she was telling me she was like, these are things for you to work on so that when you're in a relationship, like you don't you're not phased or you don't
Right.
stalk a person or you want to be we want to be okay as
Right.
well. And I think so much we're just focused on I'm gonna be good for me, but like no, I also want to be good for someone else too,
Right.
or I want to be good for my future kids. Like I want to overcome this for them, for my
Exactly.
generations, and yeah. So I'm in that. I'm reading that book right now. I'm on chapter 1. Don't get it twisted. I just started.
Yeah. So true.
But that has been for me, I guess, just some of my struggles and some things that I'm doing to like overcome that.
But I love that because it's also like um, that thing of like preparing or feeling like you have to prepare. I read once, and girl, this broke me. Okay, I have two things, but um, I saw one time stupid TikTok that someone sent me one time, but it was like I am a woman with a man inside watching a woman.
Well,
And that for me was like, oh my God. And I know you were talking more about like preparing and feeling like you have to
right,
get
right.
ready. But it's also like we as women, like, we do that. Like the way we
Yeah,
stand, the way we sleep, how we get dressed, how we eat.
yeah.
Like a
Well,
lot of times we're like, oh, like let me, do it attractively. Like, oh my gosh. And it hit me and it was like, wait, why do I do that? Why do I cover my mouth when I laugh? Why do
right.
I like, cover my shoulders a bit when like a man walks in the room? Like, huh. It's always this kind of
Hmm.
like, oh, we've been taught to prepare for an undisclosed man our entire life. We've been taught to
Well,
kind of perform acts attractively or with caution our entire lives. And it's so crazy because that also like seeps into being like now where it's like exactly that. Like I'm doing things and girl, you're doing productive things. That's so good. But it's like sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just freaking, I don't know, brush my teeth and like I covered my mouth when like I spit it out. Like, who's watching? Like, nobody.
Right.
But it's also like this mentality of like, oh, like when I get a man, when I'm like living, like when I'm married, like he's gonna see that, like all that stuff that it's like, oh my gosh, it does get to your head because it's like getting like ready. But in reality, like ready spiritually and emotionally, yes. But it's like there's a difference between, I was saying, there's a difference between growth and change. Everyone grows.
Yeah, wow.
But change needs to be an action, like an actual, like physical movement. And a lot of times we think that we need to in order to be loved. And I think growth, we need to love everyone's growth. I think that's just the whole thing of that.
That was so good.
I don't know. It's just, girl, we're talking about everything that's been going on in this season right now. It's like, I love it so much.
I love that. Because you don't realize that, like you said, like it's things that we do and we don't realize. And I remember, because I am I don't know how to describe this. I eat without care. Like I eat my pasta and I don't care if it's like I'm slurping up the pasta.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't care. Like I never care about that stuff. But I have a friend who was like, Mama, like cut it. Like cut the pasta. And I was like, but I don't want to cut the pasta.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I was like, my husband gonna love me for meat. Like, I just know.
Exactly.
Like, it's just, and I remember having that conversation with them and just laughing because she was like, you're so right, though. Because we get this idea in our heads, which obviously there are proper eating mannerisms that I just haven't adapted to.
Of course,
But again, growth, change.
Exactly.
But it's just like, wow, like, we do care a lot about what people think. Yeah. And I just remember being like, girl, I don't care. I'm enjoying my meal. Like, I am out.
Right.
Like, I'm comfortable. And I think if I'm comfortable with you, like, I'm not going to care about the little stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, we'll never be prepared until we're in this situation. And we have to realize, like, oh, my God, they have to see me, like, in this messy bun. And I'm not always going to have my hair fixed up and my makeup on. Like, I'm going to have one lash on. One falling,
my mascara running down my eyes, like a whole thing. And that too, like waking up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, like, is this what he's gonna see every day? He better be he better be God's strongest warrior for real, cause it be rough.
Come on,
it be rough. But that's so true. And I think like going through it and realizing it now is so much better. Because imagining getting into a relationship and feeling insecure about every little thing. And I'm so glad. Like, honestly, there's some tough lessons that I've had to learn that literally hurt me. But it also, like, hurt me to heal me. Because I would not have realized how, like, insecure I am about these. And I think I was insecure about my insecurities. Like, I wanted to be a brave, tough girl. In reality, I'm insecure about my body, about the way I look, the way I act, about my clothing, like everything. Of course I am. But that's also something that I can't, like, I'm so happy to say that I'm falling in love with it. Like, with myself. With the way that I look, I'm just like, I was literally thinking earlier, like, I drove today, Slay, bye-bye.
Yay!
I drove to my church today, and it's like 30 minutes away. But I saw this thing in a reel, and it was like, oh, do all girls do this? And like, it's when you pass a yellow light and you hit the top of your car, like the head of your car. Have you seen that?
Girl,
it's like,
yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's like, I did that, and I'm like, I've been doing it like a few times, and I like laugh when I do it, and my dad looks at me weird. But I'm like, girl, there's some things that I do, like the way I talk, like the way my heart is, that I'm like, I would fall in love with me. And that for me, it makes me like, it makes me like, okay, like you're going to be okay. Like, and that for me is like, okay, growth. But girl, it's not everything. It's not for everything. I'm still struggling. Every day it's a struggle. But I think that's also comes with just, growth. So.
Yeah, that was perfect.
But how has your standards and morals like kind of fluctuated throughout your relationship journey or lack of relationship journey?
I love that lack.
No, yeah, me too.
The
We're in
lack.
this together.
It's the lack for us, right?
It's a lack for us. Oh
Because
my
we were
gosh.
sisters.
That's crazy.
Honestly,
It's a lack for us.
it's a lack for me. It's just a fun episode. I think it's just fun to me because I hate talking about this stuff, and it's just
No,
like, let's
but
talk about the
it's
stuff
cute.
that we're scared to talk about.
I know.
It is
I
cute.
love this. This is what girls
So for me, I know I love this for us. I really do. I love the lack. Honestly, I think with lack of relationship journey, it comes a lot of learning. Like, how do you talk to someone? How do you approach someone? I think my standards have always been pretty high. I have a list. I think everyone should write a list. At least have an mental list. You know, man of God. I want them to, you know, love God more than they love me. I want them to be a family person. I want them to be family oriented because I am. You know, those things like that. There's always room for improvement in every area. But I think my standards have just been, as I watch people get into stuff that doesn't serve them, it's kind of changed and just been like, what do you like? Like, what do you want? And let's figure that out too. Because I think we can get excited. It's exciting when someone looks at you or like compliments you or maybe wants to get to know you and you're single. Like, it's such an exciting feeling.
Yes.
But don't take that excitement and run like they're the best person in the world because you just haven't met the best person in the world yet.
Guys, I gotta go. She's calling me out right now. I gotta go.
Bye. Gotta go. Run. Talk us over. Thanks for watching. Bye, but
love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye. But it just really is that, like, the standards of, you know, wanting, craving something, and then when someone gives you an inch, you take it as a mile, and you're running around the world and proclaiming that you're in love. And it's honestly like, yes, like, have those butterflies, have those emotions. But I think my morals have just been, you know, make sure that they respect you again, like you said. Make sure that they value friendships, that they're not judging people. Like, just check if they're judgmental. Like, these are little things that make big differences, and I've seen them for their people. Like, people can be, you know, as you get to know someone, like, I've seen it. I'm talking through the lens of other people because I can't talk too much through myself. People that you think are, you know, perfect for each other, you know, things like that. And then you get to know the person, they get to know the person as they go on. It turns out that the person is, you know, a liar, or they're cheating, or just these little things. And it gets me scared. And it gets me like, God, you know, I don't want to go through that. And you can't prevent harm. You can't prevent breakup or heartbreak or heartache. I think everyone has to go through that at least once, probably. I want to say that my first one that I date fully would be my husband, but I don't know. Like, I'm just praying for that. But just because I don't want to go through heartbreak, but it's true. Like, it's gonna happen. So I think my standards have just been, or just lack of standards, that, like, I want the person to just be genuine and be themselves and be forward and honest. Like, I struggle with this, but I'm willing to work on it.
Yeah.
You know? Just a person that's honest. What are your standards, and how have that fluctuated in your journey, or in your lack thereof?
Oh my gosh, I will say, girl, when I wrote this, I didn't think I had to answer it. Of course I did, but I will say my biggest, like, vice is that, you know me, we've probably had a conversation about marrying rich husbands. That is such an opener conversation for me. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know why, but, like, for me, I'm like, I'm gonna marry a rich husband. I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I'm gonna be, like, living my rich wife fantasy, like, literally. And it's crazy because I think it wasn't until, like, honestly recently, when I've been very intentional with, like, my self-love journey, and specifically not just, like, self-love because you're growing, but self-love even when you're not growing, like, self-love when you're not changing, definitely has been realizing that the standards I kind of put myself were definitely boundaries to protect myself, in the
Oh yeah.
sense of, if I lowered that, I will be running to the bottom of the barrel. And it's so sad to say that,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I'm
It's true.
forgiving by nature, and I overlook things a lot because I want to see the good in people. I think that I want people to see the good in me and like look deeper. Like, I'm such like a, oh, but like, how does your brain work? And like, some people are very surface level, but for me, and that's not to say like I'm not like this, but like for me, like I need to know like everything about you, like your
Right.
soul, like your, I want you to pour your soul into me. And some people are not like that, not because they're like they're not layered people, but some people just like the surface and they're okay with that.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I've had to put a stop to that. Like me, my own brain was like, you need to stop, because I will keep like lowering my morals and my standards lower and lower, because I want to give a chance to people, and I want to give them
Right.
a chance to show me that they have something deeper inside them. And girl, when I tell you, I didn't tell you this. Um, if do you guys
Spill the
know?
tea.
Okay, do you guys know like the Lulu ship? Yeah, yeah, babe. That was me recently. I have
Wait,
not
what
been
did you
a
say?
the Lulu ship. Have you heard that
Oh,
phrase?
the Lulu ship.
Yeah,
Well, we have those all the time.
I of
That's
course.
our that's our
That's our
thing. Like
thing.
that's how we
Oh my
bond as
gosh.
well.
Exactly.
Like the guy that gave me the Chick-fil-A, that kid,
Oh my
he wanted me to he wanted me to go inside to get his number. Like
That's
he
literally your husband, though.
I
Oh my
know. I don't remember his
gosh.
name.
Damn, we didn't get his name. That's why he was waiting for you to come back. So I can tell you his name. We need to go back.
Right,
Like
right, right.
Nona, Chick-fil-A. Thank you. But
But the Lulu ship is a
I was
real
like,
thing.
I
Talk about
for
it. Talk about it.
real, because it's like sometimes that person doesn't know you're in a relationship, but you know you're in a relationship with them. And sometimes for a while it's gonna be a relationship until it becomes a relationship, and that's just how it be. But a
Hmm.
minute ago, for a good, not a good minute, but like a good minute, I was in a delusion. Um, and honestly, it was such a cathartic thing, because I've had it in the past, but I think this one recently, one of my most embarrassing, I'll tell you. But
No.
also just because like I had to mute him recently because
Oh.
I
Uh-oh.
can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this.
Uh, oh,
Just
it's
a
okay. It's okay.
little
It's okay.
content. No, but it's like, because
Now I'm like giving
girl,
the whole tea right
no,
now.
I'm gonna tell everything. But I will say it started off as something like really small, and then I never saw him again. Oh my god! Well, I
Oh
know
no.
I did, like I saw him a couple times, but we literally never had a conversation. Let's just say that. And
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
obviously,
That's true.
okay, don't yell at me because I'm a girl. I'm just a girl. I'm just a teenage girl. Have you seen that meme where it's like I did crash my car, but I'm just a teenage girl. Like I did rob
I
a bank,
love
but I am
that.
just a teenage girl.
It's a
Like
perfect
that's
excuse for everything.
exactly. I never had a conversation with him, but don't yell at me because I'm just a teenage girl. Me at 24, I'm just a teenage girl. But yeah,
Me
and
at
it was
22,
like
I'm
I'm just I'm dead. But yeah, and so it was like definitely I had to literally mute this man because I was thinking about literally what our kids would look like, and he barely gave me a second
I
glance. I
I
was
see not
thinking
having a
into
conversation with him and
everything.
being like, so my last
No.
name,
Don't say that. Don't say that now. Wait, hold
oh,
on,
I
hold
ain't saying
on.
the name. I ain't saying
No,
the
no,
name.
no,
I
no. I
never,
was
I
gonna
never.
say no. I know. But it's like crazy because I genuinely I do that a lot, and it's not a lot. Honestly, I don't. But recently, I have. I think I'm just experiencing like, I think for a while, in the years where I was supposed to be boy crazy, I didn't let myself because I was, trying to be very mature and mysterious. And now
Right.
that I'm kind of letting myself be a girl and like,
Yeah.
have crushes on random people, like it's honestly, it's cute. Like I was saying earlier, like you
It
kind
is
of get to
cute.
fall in love with yourself and your journey. Like it's like
Yeah,
whatever, like it's cute to have a crush. Like, oh my god, like you're thinking about this
it is.
person. Like that's so cute. Like you get to talk to your friends about it, like whole thing. Um, but I did have to like mute this person like on Instagram. I'm not gonna unfollow because that's sketchy. But It's
Right.
just because like I would see things that this person posted, and obviously like I'm gonna send you so much, Evie. The screenshots
I
I
love
got
that.
recently.
I love that we're gonna have another podcast after the
I
podcast.
know.
Like last
But
week,
it's
we had a
like
podcast after the podcast.
literally, oh my gosh, yes, we should have recorded. But yeah, and it's like it's bad because it's like I would find myself like, oh, but like he's gonna change, or like I could fix him, or like, oh, it's not gonna be like that when we get together, or like once he like sees me, he's gonna fall mad in love with me, and like he's gonna change everything, and that's not true. Like I and I want to talk about this a little more in depth later, but some of the best relationship advice I've been ever given is that don't get into a relationship expecting that person to change. Get into a
Yeah,
relationship knowing that if that person doesn't change, you're okay with it. And
exactly.
that's
Come
one
on.
of the most hard hitting things where it's like a lot of times we do try to fix people. We're like, oh, like I can like lower my standards now because once I get married to this person or once I get into a really like once we're exclusive, he's gonna change. Like, no. Get into something knowing like, hey, if this person never changes, if he never changes his attitude, his demeanor, his hygiene, his style, even the small things like
Yeah.
that, his big thing, his spiritual life. If he
Come
never
on.
changes that, are you okay with that? And that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest things. Like the if anybody ever asks you, hey, would you get in a relationship with somebody that isn't Christian? No. Because I
Yeah,
cannot
no.
get into a relationship with people expecting them to change. That's God's job. God's gonna change them,
Exactly.
not me. And so
Right.
I need to get into things thinking if this person never changes, I'm okay with it. And me personally, I'm not okay with that. So that's that. That's
That
my
is so
standards,
good.
and I thank God that through everything, I right now it hasn't changed, and I pray so hard that in the future that never changes. But girl, yeah,
I love that. No,
yeah,
that was so good. Especially when you said like you should love them already, or you know, not
mm-hmm.
expect them to change, but just be
Right,
okay if it doesn't. And I think a lot of the times we're fixated on, like you mentioned, what we can change,
right,
how we can fix them. But sometimes it's not your job to fix people.
exactly,
Something
exactly.
it's something like a toxic trait that I think I need to work on, or
Mm-hmm.
we all need to work on. Like we can't
Yeah,
fix everything.
right,
And some things are meant to be unfixed, and that's okay.
exactly.
And
That's so
what would
good.
you, just to wrap up a little bit, what is your current idea of love? Like, do you think it's necessary to live? And what advice would you give to all the single ladies out there that need a little help? Maybe even
Um,
staying in singleness, or just, having experimenting, like a little crush, or what that looks like.
I think honestly that like to question it kind of intertwines. Like I think my advice is that like love is necessary, but love for yourself is the most necessary. Um,
Yeah.
I think one thing that like perfectly it could be used in any instance. The proverb where it says God knows the desires of your heart. Recently, I was talking to my youth pastor. Shout out, Pastor James.
Shout
He
out.
was we were doing a little leadership lab um and we were talking about this verse and he said like God knows the desires of your heart but God needs to be the first desire. And I
Wow.
think that's like so any advice I can give anybody about being single and going on your relationship journey, like love is so important, but God needs to be your first love. And not just like
Yeah.
the first love in like the first you ever had, but the first as in the first one that you think about in the morning, the last thing you
Right.
think about at night. The most important love needs to be God. And it is very necessary to live. You need to love yourself because if you can't love yourself, you can't love other people. If you can't love yourself, you can't love God.
Exactly.
Let's just put that. I
Yeah,
think one of the
exactly.
hardest things to do is love God when you can't even love yourself. And I like coming
Right.
like talking to people who are struggling in their faith. Like one thing I say, like learn how to love yourself. And you'll see, like,
Yes.
even when you can't love yourself, you're gonna find God's love. Let's just say that. But it's also very important. I think
Exactly.
those two intertwine. Like to have God's love, you need self love. To have self love, you need God's love. Let's just it's a circle, it's a union. So definitely that's my advice. And like I said, you know, be able to have grace with yourself and know that, growth is is something that happens to everybody, and you need to love your growth, even if sometimes the growth looks a little ugly, looks a little wanky.
Right.
You know, you
That's
need to
okay.
love it. It's okay, and it's like it's all about that journey of like falling in love with yourself, and then you'll see how good being single is. Like
Right.
how good having your own time to yourself and being able to cherish your own company is like such a massive goal. And I know it's not, we can talk about it, but it's not easy. But that does start with
Right.
accepting God's love and knowing
Amen.
that even before he died for us, even before we were still sinners, he loved us. And I think that's Romans 5:8. You know, even while we were still sinners, he loved. And that is the biggest
Amen.
truth of it all. So yeah, Evie, what is your advice to all the single women out there?
Mama, stay strong. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But one thing that I had written down, I was looking at my notes, and it was a good point. It said, don't cheapen your anointing or dilute your oil for someone.
Come on.
I think a lot of the times we try to not dumb down. I don't want to say dumb down, but I'm a Christian, but kind of like just because we don't want to present ourselves as such strong believers, or maybe just I think we think our faith is a turnoff sometimes. I'm being very honest. Like it's hard to find people that are in it as much as you are, or asserting, or could take it 100%. Like they're Christians because their grandma was Christian. Like, no, like, are you serving your local church? Like, do you have a prayer closet? Like, are you intentional with your petitions? Who do you go to? These are all questions that I ask myself. And when I saw that note of just don't cheapen your anointing, it just reminded me, be secure, so secure in who you are that you don't devalue yourself and trying to find someone. Like, it's okay to wait.
Right.
In every aspect. Like, it's okay to wait to make a decision. It's okay to wait to date. It's okay to wait to, text first. Like, those are all things that it's okay to wait on. Waiting, like this note that I also had saved, this is waiting always produces purpose. There's so many instances in our lives or in the Bible where people have waited, and God has a purpose for everything. And while we're waiting. So what are you doing while you're waiting? Are you diving into your purpose? Like, are you learning what triggers you? Are you learning more about yourself so you can better that? That would be my advice, all in all. I loved this. I love this conversation. I'm happy because I think it's good to have girl talk. Like this.
I know, this is such girl talk. And like, I was telling Evie, like, definitely we want to keep talking about things like this because this is us. This is who we are. And these are the conversations that we have all the time, but we are scared to talk about in person. I was literally like shaking, like writing this like earlier. I was like, oh my God, like it's a dangerous topic because it is scary. And it's scary, especially when, a lot of people are like listening to you and watching you. But that's why we do this together. That's why we sit and talk to you and say, hey, like, spend some time waiting, because you see how much you grow, and you see how much you love yourself, and you see how much your standards change. Like, now it's like, I'm not settling. And I think that's so, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. But I love this so much. I'm going to cherish this so much. I loved it too. I can't wait to hear it back.
It was such good. I know, it was such good girl talk for us, because we've been talking about this for a little bit. All seasons have been occurring in the background, but
I know, but it's good to air it out.
Moments,
and a good reminder for me, girl. So good. But
for us all, if you related to this, mamas, make sure you share, make sure you comment what spoke out to you, what stuck out to you. Send it to your single friends, send it to your friends in relationships. Let them know not to settle. What got you this episode? What convicted you? Comment it below.
Let us know. And let us know what else you want to hear, girl. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to your podcast, girlies. Yes. Oh my gosh. We love you guys. We love you guys.
Next episode will be our 10th episode.
Oh my God. We should do like a cake. Oh my God. We should do a cake.
I'm coming.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, let's do that. All right. Anyways,
we love you guys.
We love you guys. Bye.
We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.